I'm Geoffrey, I'm Fist and World of Tanks. I'll go over parts 1, 1, 3 a little bit, and I'll cover more ground than I did last time. So here's the page for parts 1, 1, 3 with the various things. So there's going to be heat changes. So if you hit from the front, as shown there, it's likely to cause less damage because people complain that you get to cause too much damage. If you shoot heavy tanks from the front with HE, I'll go over that once again. I'll cover it from a different angle this time. So for the SPGs, they get some nerfs. So they get sound detection, 6 stands for arty, so you kind of hear that arty is firing. You get brighter shell tracers, they look like this. Where are they? They're going to come. Okay, so you get to see where they're firing from, and you can counter battery them, or you can avoid them, take cover behind a rock that's covered from that side. And finally, you get some field of fire markers on the map, various places, like where it hit or something. You get some marker where the art hit. Okay, then there's going to be some change in SPGs. So the HE cells will be nerfed. They're going to get some other cells that probably SPGs will never fire, and I agree with some of the YouTubers, the YouTube content providers, that SPG players will not be firing those. So be still firing the standard HE round, because SPGs are so inaccurate. Yeah, if you have a huge circle on the tank, it's like a little thing in the middle. Chances are 95% you're not going to hit the tank, and the other ones depend on actually hitting the tank to cause damage. But you know that you only have like 5% chance to hit the tank, even if it's stationary. And so you're not going to fire those rounds. Then there are some other changes to particular vehicles, because they were not very good for some reason. The T92 was not very good. I'm surprised about that, but okay. No, okay. IS-130, I don't know that at all. M60 Chieftain T95, I thought it was a good tank. What's the idea behind that? I'm not really sure. Isn't that the OP tank? What's the problem with the Chieftain? Is it, maybe it's buffed or something? No, it's buffed, it's not nerfed. I really don't get it, whatever. And then there's going to be some changes in the maps. That's quite interesting. You know, I don't know if it's good or bad. I mean, people will still hug the red line. So you get here, like here, there's more room. You can see in this image of this where's go? This Belarus capital map. I forget the name now. So you can see that you have the option to hug the red line a little bit further than along this road. Yeah, I don't know if this makes any difference, to be honest. I think the difference it makes is that if you're on this road, you could potentially have a TD or an SPG on the other side shooting all along this road. But if you go and hug the red line here, you can go behind these buildings and you can take cover from TDs and SPGs. I think that's the difference. So if favors gameplay by mediums and heavies, if you're playing medium or heavy, you'll be happy. Okay, so that's what this is. Anyway, I'll skip that. And then you get some options to have some alternative marks for your tanks that are going to give you a little bit more information that was in the sub mod or something. Okay, I don't know if there's anything more here. What Klaus Kellerman had shown, unfortunately there's not much here. Klaus Kellerman has shown something that probably Wargaming has retracted, with some details on the test server about how tanks performed against HE cells. And basically, if you are in a tier 10 tank that has no armor, like the German TD, the Gorilla, the tank destroyer, the tier 10 tank destroyer, then you basically HE cells could still hit you. If they hit you frontally or whatever they hit you, they caused about the same damage they were causing before. But if you were in a heavily armored vehicle and you were shot with HE, then you took a lot more damage. Basically, that means if you were in a vehicle that the HE shell could not penetrate. That's not necessarily an HE shell fired by an SPG, but it could be an HE shell fired by any tank. Usually you fire HE if the enemy tank, you cannot penetrate it with gold. At least that's what I do. If I cannot penetrate an enemy tank with gold, then I fire HE at it, rather than do nothing. If I'm confident that I will not be detected, of course. Yeah. If I'm confident I will not be detected, then I may fire HE. And if I think my HE shell has enough pen to kill it, because it only has a few hit points left, then I'll fire HE, because at least I have a chance to kill this tank. If there's a trade-off between a risk being detected and firing without killing the enemy tank, just causing like 50 HP damage, then I will probably not fire even HE. It's like saying, oh, we have to make heavy tanks invulnerable. Yeah, basically, we have to make heavy tanks invulnerable. They are underpowered. How to make them overpowered? So let's go back to this website I was showing you the other time. Now I have the Russian server here, the RU server. It's not that it's different than the EU server, but it has more players. Yeah, so there's better stats in it. But we can switch over to the EU player. It's just doing the same thing all over again. Okay, and so here we have all the tanks that exist. And you can rank them either depending on win rate or win 8. Okay, some tanks are very good win 8, but you see here that the some of the tanks have relatively few battles. It's not so bad for the Russian server. It's worse for the EU server. Now, these all have enough battles. So you have enough players, minimum 189. It's lots of players. So I guess they have better statistics from the Russian server, so we might as well stick to the Russian server. So, okay, let's have a look at which tanks are the best, are the top. Are there any tanks that fire HE? Or other tanks that have a lot of armor, because this is now basically the balancing we need to do. There are tanks that have a lot of armor and tanks that fire an HE, and HE are causing too much damage to tanks with heavy armor, a lot of armor. So we have to balance these two. Yeah. So we see, which is the HE firing tank OP in general, and the heavy armor tank underpowered in general. So we have to balance them. So let's see. Tier 2, Panzer 2 Type J. Okay, that has a win rate 65%. This is absolutely ridiculous. You need to pay €100 to get this tank, whatever that is in rubles. So it's all about money, okay? And then we have the Panzer 5-4 in position 2 with 63.6% win rate. Crazy, huh? This is also a premium tank. In position 3 we have the Tiger 2. It's surprising a little bit. Type 98. It's a light tank. I don't know if it has armor or not. I don't have it. T44 that has enough armor to withstand any type of HE cell, of HE cell. So enough armor, to withstand HE cell. So it's not, gonna be killed by a tank firing HE at it. Object 279E. That's a crazy OP tank. That's in the top 6 with 6% win rate. And all the other tanks we see here, if you check them, practically all of them, Tigger, Chieftain, all of them up to the FCM 36x40, all of them have heavy armor. The FCM 36x40 definitely does not fire HE. So we don't have so far any tanks that fire HE that are overpowered. They have Object 95, again Panzer 5-4, different version, Concept KB220. All these tanks have a lot of armor. None of them, as far as I know, they're not the sort of tanks that fire HE. The sort of tanks that fire HE is, for example, a Hetzer. Let's have a look. Hetzer. Nope, wrong. Sorry, edit. Find and page. Hetzer. Let's have a look where the Hetzer stands. So Hetzer. So it is somewhere in the middle with a win rate of 50%. So it's firing HE. So that's a typical tank that fires HE. So I had a look at some of the other ones. Type 4 heavy. Type 4 heavy has 49.7% win rate. So it's even less than 50%. So that's clearly also not a problem. Okay, and it's a heavy tank. So it doesn't, you know, it's a kind of, it's a mix. Oh, come on. Type 5. Oops. Okay, where is it? Type 5 heavy. Type 5. Oh, come on. Type 5 heavy has a win rate of 51%, a little bit better, but it's also a heavy tank, so it's difficult to compare. We need a tank that fires HE and it's not heavy, and the tanks that fire HE and are not heavy are typically, other than the Hetzer, typically they're SPGs. And I'm looking for SPGs. The best one here in the Russian server is the leaf blower. What a name! 105 leichte Feldhaubitze 18 B2. You have to say all this. I mean, you could have called it whatever, the beetle, the cockroach, the whatever, the butterfly, or whatever. Why do they call it this silly name? Why does it have to be like this in the game? What are we supposed to call it? Next one, T95. Okay, so that's the best tank that fires HE, and it has a win rate of 54%. Yeah, okay, but there are another 100 tanks on top of it. I mean, you could say that's overpowered. I don't have a problem with that. Then it comes Sexton. I don't know. It's probably in position 150 or something. I don't know. Okay, there's that. And it's, what is it? Is it a tier 3 tank? A tier 4 or something? And then there's nothing. I mean, these are the tanks that are typically firing HE, and they are not heavy tanks. They don't have much armor. Okay, and Bishop is down here. So Bishop is in the top half, top 300. It's type 4 heavy. Su-26, and this is in the top half. But they were not in the top 50. Other than the leaf blower, they were not in the top 100. And let's see, now we see a few more. GW Panther, and 535. Now we're in the bottom half. And now we see like 2 of them there. And let's see, you have the M12 down here and bottom half. We have a lot more. Lorraine SPG. We have the Sturmhauser Bissen, Batschedion, SPG. Now we get the SPG. So V3. So they're clearly Crusader, Hummel. They clearly are not overpowered. They're underpowered. Yeah, they're in the bottom half of the tables. GW Tiger, Sexton 2, GW 100, Object 261. All the SPGs, Specialty 155, all SPGs are down here. Birch Gun, Lloyd Gun Carriage, M41, GW Tiger. Wasn't it higher up, GW Tiger? I'm confused. So 114, sorry. A few more. All the SPGs are down here. They're right at the bottom. Yeah, they have win rates like 44.8 or whatever it is. This was 48.8. Sorry. They are among the worst tanks. Su-8 has 48.7. And more down here. This poor thing has a win rate of 47%. They're like right in the bottom half. Like the majority of them, at least 70% of the SPGs in the bottom, among the worst tanks in like the bottom half of all the tanks in the game. And all the top tanks, the majority of them are heavily armored. Many of them are premium as well, or reward tanks. Okay, and so that's the idea. I mean, you can change server, we can put the EU server. Will this work? No, it didn't work. Sorry, I had to go back and say here, come on, say here EU. Let's see what it looks like now. And then I want to show you another comparison, then I'll close off. There will not be any battles this time. Okay. So we see here the list that I showed you more or less last time, isn't it? The victories here. Okay, the few at the top don't count because they are just one player data, so those don't count. So we have again the Panzer type J in the top spot with 63% win rate. Object 279E, the second spot, and then a few others. And they're all, not all of them are heavily armored. So Su-76I is not. The F-736 Mark 40 are not. But they're also not like, these are, what is it, tier 3 tanks or something. I mean, they don't even, they're not going to upset the rankings, a tier 3 tank. And they certainly don't fire HE, at least as far as I know. They have good AP rounds. And then KV-20, all these typical heavy tanks that are OP as well as premium. Practically all of them are premium, aren't they? All reward tanks. And they're all heavily armored. And they all have some armor or lots of armor. Most of the time enough to block any HE damage. What sort of balancing is this? Basically, you make the overpowered tanks able to suffer less damage from HE rounds. The underpowered tanks that have to fire HE rounds have less effect. So the balancing seems to me to be in the wrong direction. I mean, I don't know. You write in the comments if you think, no, it's not the wrong direction. You got the maths wrong, or whatever, The OP tanks are at the bottom. They're not at the top of this list. The OP tanks are the ones that have low win rates or low win rate. I mean, maybe, you tell me in the comments. And then I'm going to go now to the website, to the game site, sorry. And I put here this 3 tanks this time, not like the 2 tanks. And I want to make a different comparison this time than I did last time. So let's look at survivability. So I didn't skipped over this because I thought it was ridiculous last time, but let's have a look at this. So the KV-1 has 840 hit points. The tier 4 SAV M43, I'll tell you why I'm including this, has what is it? I lost it. What were the hit points? Where are we? 840. It has 415 hit points. And of course, the gorilla that I showed you last time has 315 hit points. Okay. Now, why am I showing you the SAV M43 is because I was in a situation about 3 days ago where I had, or 4 days, I don't know, maybe last week, where I had to, where I was like 1v1 basically. It was up to me to win the battle, and there was a KV-1, and the KV-1 was in low health. Now, have a look, if I didn't kill it, we would lose the battle. There was maybe an SPG left or something, I can't remember, or some other tank, maybe a light tank that could not pen the KV-1. I think that was the case. So it was up to me to pen the KV-1. Now let's have a look at how can I pen the KV-1. The KV-1 was hold down and would stay hold down. Now hold down, he knew he had the advantage if you say hold down. Survivability, hold armor, turret armor, it's 110 turret armor. Yeah? And the turret armor of my turret armor doesn't exist, so the turret is the same as the hull, 50. So let's see, the penetration the KV-1 has is 120, so he can pen me every time he shoots, no problem. The penetration I have is 65, but except if I fire premium round, I had a penetration of 110. Unfortunately, 110 will still not pen the KV-1 turret, yeah, because it has 110 armor. Now, there's a small chance if I hit flat on the side that I might pen it. You have like a 50-50 chance if I hit flat on the side, but I have to hit flat on the side to pen it. No other way I'm going to pen the KV-1 armor. And basically he was baiting me to hit him flat on the side, kind of, but he wasn't. He knew where I was firing from. He was angling a little bit his side, thinking that's my only chance. I'm going to hit him with premium on the side to detect me where I was, because I was obviously in a bush. And then I had to back out because he would fire back at me. I exchanged a few shots like this with premium, firing on his side. I couldn't pen him, so I resorted to firing HE. Now my HE shot caused about 50 damage, or maybe even less. He didn't have much health, so I penned him. Now I expect on average I would cause about 50 damage if I fired previously with HE. Now I'm going to cause 25% damage with HE if I was in the same situation. So I'll cause, let's say, 35 HP hit points damage if I fire high explosive rounds. So let's make the math. Let's do the math. So survivability, he has 840. Where's the calculator? 840 divided by 35. Oops, sorry. Damn, what have I done? Divided by 35. Where's the okay, equals 7. Oh, come on. Start again. It's 24. I have to fire 24 rounds. Okay, let's see. I have to fire 24 rounds. I'm firing at firing rate is about, what is it, 6.6. Well, let's make it 7. So I have to be firing at him for 3.5 minutes to kill him. And I have to fire 24 shots. Okay, 24 shots without being detected, without being shot by anybody. I have to fire 24 shots at the turret of the KB1 from the side. This will take 3.5 minutes in order to kill him with high explosives. Now, he has about 15 rate of fire, about 15. He can pen me every time. Every time he shoots, he causes 160 damage. 160 damage, I have 415 armor. So 160 damage means that with 3 shots, he would have killed me. 3 shots. He has a firing rate. What was it? 1454. That's about 15 a minute. That's about 4 seconds. So in 8 seconds, I'd be dead. I would take 3.5 minutes to kill him with 24 shots. With 3 shots, you can kill me in 8 seconds. You know, this is the situation. And so the KB1 needs a buff, because if it is shot by HE, it suffers too much damage. The SAV needs a nerf, because it can fire HE at a KB1 and 3.5 minutes kill it. This is the comparison. I'm really, I find this really crazy. While I'm in a good mood, there are a couple of other points I wanted to make. Let's go back to these tanks. So let's look at the survivability. So we have 140 for the KB1, 315 for the Gorilla. The KB1 has 160 average damage, and it has such a big gun that the Gorilla with 15 millimeter of armor is I think it's auto-pennable. But in any case, it's going to pen any time anyway. I mean, it's not really a worry. So the KB1 is going to pen the Gorilla every time. It has 4.13 gun loading time. So in 4.13 seconds, it can fire 2 shots, take out the Gorilla, because 160 times 2 is more than 315. And so the Gorilla, in return, if you remember last time, in the previous video, I hit a KB1 with a Gorilla and caused 100 damage by hitting its engine deck from the top. So if you're hitting at the front, you're not going to cause 100 damage. You're going to cause 40, 50, 60, something like that damage if you're shooting from the front, which is a big worry. And so, because it has more armor from the front. And so then this is going to be nerfed. So you're not even going to cause 50, you're going to cause 40 or something damage. 40 damage, 35 damage, so 3 shots per minute here. That's going to be about 100 or so damage per minute. So in 8 minutes, if you have enough ammunition, which I doubt, and you sit in front of a KB1 shooting every time and never missing, then you might be able to kill the KB1. You're going to miss a few shots because the dispersion is 0.7. The KB1 has a dispersion of 0.39, and it can kill you with 2 shots in 4 seconds. So this is how big a problem HE rounds are. And so let's look at another aspect of the high explosive rounds. So this is the Hetzer. It's like to fire high explosives only, exclusively. This is one of the main tanks that are going to be nerfed. And if we look at the cell velocity, it's 470. So that means that if there's an enemy tank 470 meters away, you shoot now, you hit it 1 second later. Now in 1 second, a tank can cover depending on how fast it goes. A slow tank will cover 30, 40 meters, 50 meters. A faster tank can cover more than that. Yeah? And so you have to aim like 30, 40, 50 meters in advance of where the tank is going. Hope it's going in a straight line. Hit that spot with a dispersion of 0.47. Yeah, fingers crossed, and then maybe you hit it. Maybe a second later. And there's another tank this at least has an option to fire AP rounds, although they're not very good. There's a tank here that doesn't even get that option. So it's a similar tank, doesn't get the option to fire AP, can only fire high explosives or heat rounds. The heat rounds have lower shell velocity, but more penetration. The high explosives can pen every time, kind of thing. Have a lower shell velocity, but a little bit better than it has, 670 meters. So it's still quite a bit though. And let's take tank. I mean, these tanks are going to be awful once we have the HE nerfs. But let's have a look at a tank that actually, has high gun velocity. This one has, what is it? Where are we? 925 gun velocity. Okay, but only 38 penetration. Now this tank has 194 average penetration if it fires a premium round. So if it cannot penetrate an enemy tank because it has more than 194 penetration, so that's going to be like a T95 or something, then it has to use the high explosives. The high explosives only have 38 penetration, so you're definitely not going to pen the T95 with this tank. You can play against T95 with this tank. So you're not going to pen it anyway. And so if you choose to fire high explosive with the T95, you're going to cause currently like 5 hit point damage. If even that, like optimistically, you're going to cause 5 hit points damage. And with a 25% nerf, in the future you'll be causing 3 hit point damage to the T95. It's absolutely pointless firing high explosives rounds. The only reason this is done, is, I think is because then you have to think, okay, the high explosive rounds are useless. I'm never going to use them because, before I could do 5 hit points damage to T95, now I'll be doing 3 hit point damage on average, sometimes none. And there's no point of taking any high explosive rounds, so I'm just going to get more premium ammunition because perhaps then my only option is when I'm low tier to high premium. This is the main aim of this exercise. And basically, part of the point why these tanks have been introduced with a lot of armor, which are overpowered, like the Chieftain and so on, that can go hold down. You can never pen them because they have 250 armor or millimeters of armor on the turret or something like that. The reason they're being introduced is so that you are forced to load up premium ammo. And the reason that the high explosive shells are being nerfed is that you don't have even that option to cause 5 hit points of damage. You cannot cause, it's crazy. You're not going to be able to cause any damage with high explosives. So don't bother. Just get more premium rounds. That's basically the message. That's basically the goal. And if it was about balancing in any way, then it would have been high explosive rounds that are being buffed and the armor of the heavily armored tanks that has been nerfed, so we can get the two, somehow to be of similar competitive ability. But clearly that's not the way things are going. Thank you for watching.